Hey guys, so this is a video about cliff jumping safety. So this isn't a video about how to safely backflip or gainer. It's simply about standing on the edge of the cliff, jumping, falling, and landing safely without injury. So going back into my past, I've seen a lot of people think that, it's just water, I can jump, I'll be safe. They don't really think about, when you start going higher, how dangerous it is when you impact that water. If you fall wrong, you can seriously injure yourself. So there is a technique in just simply straight jumping and falling. It does take a little bit of skill set, and not many videos on YouTube really talk about this, so that's what I want to go into. But before I get into the techniques of what to do, I'll run through the basics of cliff jumping, what you must do before you jump. Before you do anything, you've got to scope out the spot. You've got to make sure that you've got a decent depth of water off this cliff. 15 feet is a safe depth. Any shallower than that is you're pushing it. You do not want to jump into 10 foot of water when you're going at a high height and you're jumping into 10 feet of water. It's not safe. You want at least 15 feet. So to follow that up, how do you depth check? So a lot of people say, oh, well, you just dive down. Well, the problem with that is you don't know how deep it is just by diving under the water. So what I've learned to do is you get a small rock, one that you can swim with that isn't going to sink you. You tie a rope around this rock or a piece of long string, and then make it 20 foot long. Swim out with the rock. Below roughly where you want to jump, you do multiple depth checks. You lower the rock down, you'll feel it hit the bottom, or you'll get to the end of the string and then you know it's 20 feet. But as you bring it up, you do arm lengths up. So I'm a little over 6 feet, my arm length's about 6 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 18 feet. So you can get it really accurate. It's a super solid way of testing it. You know if there's a branch or whatever, because you'll drag it through, you'll feel objects, obstructions in the water, you'll know that it's safe, the depth, and you can test as much as you want. So the next step is, preferably if you're doing this starting off, you want to go to a place that other people have already jumped from. You want to go with a buddy that has jumped from there. If you're doing it your first time, you don't want to jump off somewhere where no one else has jumped from. So that leads into, safely checking the ledge that you're going to jump from, making sure that it isn't dodgy. If there's like cracks in the rock, it looks dodgy, you don't want to jump from there. I've seen a lot of videos of people where they're standing on the ledge and the rock gives way and they fall with the rock. It's just a bad idea. You don't want to take risks like that. So following into the next step, the heights that you should be aware of. So like 10 feet, like 10 feet of height of the cliff, you can go in as a bomb, you can do backflips, you can land on your back. You're generally going to be pretty safe. It will hurt if you land flat on your back from 10 feet, that'll hurt. It'll take the wind out of you. It's not really the best thing to do, but you can do it generally quite safely. But any higher than that, it starts getting risky. 20 feet, it's going to start, if you land flat on your back, you could really mess yourself up. You could get really winded, and then you don't want to be winded in the water. That's a bad thing to be. You could hit your chin on the water column like this, coming in, and that could even knock you out, even at 20 feet. And if you go on like 30 feet, that's when you really don't want to mess up badly. Like if you land flat on your chest from 30 feet, you can be coughing up blood, you can knock yourself out in the water. If you land like this, you could knock yourself out. I've had a hospital trip once from jumping from 25 feet where I was semi-concussed trying to do a backflip. I messed it up. ended up taking a trip to the hospital. You know, even these low ledges, you know, they can be dangerous. And then when you're going 40, 50 feet, that's when you really want to start landing optimally. And optimally is, you know, straight up and down, in here, locked in. You see how when I come like this, I'm sort of tucking my chin in so I don't fall like this and it hits the water. This is how you want to land. If you land with your arms out, say at 50 feet, and you land like this, you're going to get bruising all up your arms. I had a buddy, he landed like this into the water. It was about 55 feet. Got bruising all up here for 2 weeks. So at that height, you really want to lock yourself in. So then, and that carries on to beyond 60, 70 feet. This is when it starts getting pretty dangerous, you know, like if you land with your legs splayed, it can really jack up your legs. You'll smoke your balls. Like it can be really bad. Water can actually go up your asshole. You really want to clench your body at when you jump every time. You want to do it. It doesn't matter if you're jumping from 10 feet. You want to practice that form of coming in, bringing your arms in, keeping your legs tight, and tensing up as you enter the water. Tensing your core, you know, so your spine is stabilized as you enter the water, is really important. As you jump, obviously you want to get a nice push off so you can clear this ledge. And then as you're falling, you jump, you use your arms to fall, you're bracing yourself in the air. You come in about 10, 15 feet, you'll see as you're approaching the water, that's when you want to come in, tuck in, tighten up, entry, back, boom, in. You don't want to do that as you're falling. You don't want to jump and go straight into that position, because then the air, the wind will catch your feet. Now, I've seen this happen many times. It used to happen to me when I was not as experienced. The air will catch your feet and it will start rotating you. It'll start catching your feet, and then you're off balance. The wind will pick up. The top of your body's heavily on your legs. The wind will catch that, rotate you, and then you can land really badly. There's videos online of people doing this, and it's something you really don't want to do from a high height. So you want to be loose in the air as you're falling. You want to be loose, you want to be using your arms to stabilize yourself, and only before that 15 to 10 feet before you're just about to enter, that's when you come in, tighten up, boom. Another important thing, you should be watching where you're going to land. You don't want to jump and not be looking where it's spotting your landing. That's why some people throw rocks, so they can see where they're going to land roughly. They can see that splash in the water and those ripples, and that's their target, where they're aiming. That's where their eye is focused on, and you need to be focused on where you're going to land. If you're looking just straight ahead and you jump, you're going to lose track of yourself in the air. You're going to rotate. It's not good. So what you should do is you should spot where you're landing, throw a rock. I always throw rocks before I jump when I'm jumping high, just so I can spot exactly where I'm going to land. It gives a depth perception. You can see where you're going to land, because from that really high height you can't really tell where the water starts. So when you can actually see exactly where that rock lands, it sort of gives you an idea of the height and the depth. Another important thing that you should know about cliff diving, you never just go up to a 70-foot cliff before you've jumped a 50-foot cliff and jump off it. You got to slowly make your way up. I'd say like you start on 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and then not even 60, 70, 60, 65, 70. If you're smart, that's how you would do it, because those little changes in height can really affect your feeling. When you jump from 70 plus for the first time, it takes a long time before you hit that water, and it can be really disorientating when you're in the air. So you really want to get a good feel for that air time before you jump these really high heights. So like if you're jumping 80 feet, 90 feet, this is when it gets really dangerous and it hurts, you know. Like when you're jumping from that height, it doesn't matter how good your form is, it will still hurt. Like it's a lot of force in your body. If you're going over 100, you know, that's something, you know, it's really ballsy, but by that point you're gonna have your form locked in, hopefully. But maybe what else would I say before I finish this video? To be honest, not much. You know, the main point I want to get across is that, you know, it's not something that you take lightly. You don't go to the quarry with all your mates, drink a few drinks, jump off, you know. Like, I've seen a lot of people cliff jumping when they're drunk. It's just a terrible idea. I've seen a lot of people going really unexperienced, and then someone goes up on the ledge, never jumped from a high height before, maybe it's only 30 feet, but they're up there, they've never jumped from ever off a cliff, and then all of their friends are peer pressuring them into jumping, and they're freaking out, they're up on the ledge, they don't want to jump, everyone's yelling at her, maybe someone will even push them off. Oh my god, terrible thing to do. You do not want to peer pressure your friends into jumping off these cliffs. Like, I've seen people, they're on the edge of the cliff, and then they've been up there for half an hour, everyone wants them to jump, and then they get it in their head, they get into that flow state where their mind switches off, they just jump. But the thing is, they jump, I've seen a girl, she closed her eyes and just jumped. She has no idea where she is in the air. She's eyes closed, she rotates, she lands like on her ass, sort of sideways, and literally the next 2 days her ass just went completely blue, just blew all up her ass. This was like 30-foot drop, all up her ass. You do not want to jump without confidence. Before you jump, you need to be confident that you are going to land on your feet 100% of the time. If you are unconfident that you can land on your feet, then you should not jump. That is plain and simple. You cannot jump from height and not land on your feet, pin drop. So yeah, I never take a jump. I've pussied out on a lot of big jumps because I stand on the edge and I just can't see myself landing on my feet, so I will not jump. It's only when I'm 100% confident that I'll land on my feet that I'll jump. So yeah, it really annoys me when you see, you know, signs at a quarry where it says you know, no cliff jumping, and there's a sign of a man jumping off the thing. You know, I think the government really needs to understand that people are always going to jump from these cliffs. It's a lot of fun. It's like I love cliff jumping. I love that feeling of airtime. Like, people will always go to the quarry and jump off the cliff. The sign's not going to stop them. But I think they should tear down that sign, the no cliff jumping, danger sign, all that, and then put up a billboard on how to safely cliff jump, you know, depth check every time. This is how you should do it. Always land on your feet. Don't drink or jump or under the influence of alcohol. Don't jump at night. They should have a sign saying all of these bullet points, and then have a diagram of how you should jump safely. And then, you know, that's going to do more to prevent deaths and injury than a sign saying no cliff jumping ever will. So yeah, I hope this video reaches someone and they think before they jump on how to jump safely. I hope it teaches someone. I just saw that on YouTube there's none of these videos out there. You know, there's like maybe 2 or 3 videos on how to cliff jump safely, and none of them really talk about the actual form of a straight jump. So yeah, I hope this reaches someone. Alright, cheers guys.
Whoa! That's fucking loose.